So you survived your first night on the ARK. You're not dead yet, but you're still running around in your underwear. Armor in ARK is so much more important than it is in most other games, and I'm going to tell you why, coming up. Hello and welcome back. This is Lunar from Lunar Nexus, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about putting some clothes on. Despite spending the whole first episode naked, there's just no reason for anyone to not have armor on in ARK. It's so easy to make. But before we get into that, let's talk about stats for just a minute. Alright, let's talk about stats. Now health is, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Don't let it get to 0. This is definitely something that is beneficial to pump points into, but you don't want to try to make yourself a tank by investing into health. You want to have just enough health to survive a couple of hits so that you can keep running away from whatever is coming after you. You will never, ever, ever have more health than a T-Rex, so don't even try. Stamina. Now, stamina is important, but it's also along the same lines as health. Anytime you do something that requires stamina, like sprinting or swinging a hatchet, even swimming, it's going to burn down stamina, and typically when stamina gets to 0, you're going to have some problems. But once again, you don't want to go overboard into stamina. You want just enough stamina to get you out of trouble, and that's it. Oxygen. Oxygen does a couple things for you in ARK. Number one, it allows you to stay underwater longer, hold your breath basically. The second thing it does though is actually speeds up your swimming speed when you're not wearing flippers underwater. So this is a good stat if you're going to spend a lot of time underwater. On the island, I can tell you the ocean is a death sentence early game. I would probably not put a whole lot of points into oxygen, if any, early game. Food and water, also very self-explanatory. I would not put a whole lot of points into these, if any, simply because you can carry meat and water on you, and once you get to the point where you're carrying around a water skin or a canteen, water's not really that big of a deal. Food, you're always going to have food on you, so I don't put any points into those. Moving on to weight. Now weight is very big in this game because everything weighs something. And it doesn't matter how much stamina you have. If you're encumbered and you're at 90% of the weight that you can carry, you're not going very fast. Now, I don't know if I mentioned before, but 85% is kind of the magic number. Once you get to 85% of your max weight, you're going to slow down pretty dramatically. And once you get to 100% of your max weight, you're not going anywhere. Now, there are some ways to get around this. I recommend you just dump all of your stuff onto a dinosaur and let them be your pack mule. Early game, investing into weight is a very good idea, especially if you're going to do a lot of building, which I assume you probably are. You're going to want to be able to carry around materials and the structures and things like that. Now, melee damage. This is one that's actually a little misleading in this game. You would think, oh man, I want a huge amount of melee damage. I want to be able to punch something and knock its face off. Well, that's probably not going to happen. What happens with melee damage is that's going to increase the damage you do with a spear or with a club, even a sword, but it's not going to increase your damage with some of the higher damage weapons like shotguns. I don't know that I've ever put points into it. You may want to if you're playing PvP and you anticipate getting knocked off your dinosaur, or you want to use some short-range weapons, then, okay, maybe. But player versus environment, I probably would not put any points into this. Now, movement speed. Now, this is very important up to a point. In fact, anytime you go off the beach, you have to be careful of raptors. They're out there. They're going to come get you. So you want to be at about, I'd say 115 just to be safe. As you get further inland into the island, there's going to be other things that are going to be outrunning you. So you may want to bump that up more. If you're playing PvP, This is huge because sometimes you just need to get away, and you need to get away fast and now, and there's no dinosaur for you to hop on, and you got to split. Now, crafting skill. This one also is a little bit misleading. Crafting skill does two things for you. It increases the quality of things that you build, but this is mainly things that you would build from a blueprint, shotguns, pistols, armor, things like that. Crafting skill is not going to have any effect on the buildings that you're living in or the campfire that you just made. Also, crafting skill has a very small effect for the number of points that you put in it, relative. Now, later in the game, you can use something called a mind wipe tonic to it basically blasts all the points that you put into your levels, and you can put all of them into crafting skill, craft up a bunch of stuff, and then use your mind wipe tonic to blast the board again, and then you can put all of your points back to where you want them. This is later game, and don't worry about this for now. The second thing that crafting skill does for you is increases the speed at which you craft things. Once again, I don't put any points into this until later in the game, and it's usually because I am so annoyed by just sitting there waiting for certain things to craft. If I'm making just a ton of floors or a ton of ceilings or whatever, and I am just sitting there waiting, sure, you can put some points into crafting skill, and it'll definitely speed that up for you. Fortitude. Fortitude is very underutilized in this game. Fortitude gives you three things. It gives you resistance to heat, resistance to cold, and resistance to disease. There are diseased leeches out there that will give you swamp fever. There are bats that will give you mega rabies, which is apparently much worse than regular rabies. And early game, you don't necessarily want to put points in this because your points are better spent in other places like health, movement, speed, and weight. But later game, you definitely want to put points into fortitude. Some of my higher level characters, I have my fortitude up to the 50s and 60s, sometimes higher. And each level that you put into fortitude will give you 2 points of fortitude. Final stat here is torpidity. Now, torpidity is extremely important. It's also something that you can't do anything about. Torpidity is the measure of how close to passing out you are. Once that meter hits 200, you're going sleepy sleep time, and that's it. And then you'll have to wait until it hits 0 again before you can wake up. That whole time that you're laying there unconscious on the beach, there's going to be something coming to eat your toes. Alright, so in a lot of games, you start off dressed like a prison inmate or somebody that lives under a bridge, and you eventually move up to like your hide or your leather armor, and now you're feeling like you can take on the world, right? You got protection, maybe you dye that blue, and then maybe you want to paint some flames on the side, whatever. Flames make it go faster. So then you go out and you try to take on the biggest baddie you can find, and they kick your butt. They smear you all over the pavement, they take your shoes, and they send you packing, and you're crying to your mom. Now, you're going to have to go out and you have to get some better armor. Maybe you're going to upgrade to some chainmail. Maybe you're going to upgrade to some iron armor or some plate mail. And then eventually you get to the end game and you've got your adamantium, daedric, diamond, netherite, enchanted super armor that makes you totally invincible. You're a walking tank. Someone could hit you straight in the face with a giant cannonball and you would just shrug it off. That's how most games go. And the reason things are that way is because you start out with the crappy armor and you wear it around for a while. Maybe you customize it a little bit. You're feeling good, looks good, but eventually that armor's not any good anymore. It's not going to give you the kind of protection you need. So you move up to the next armor, and then that first armor just sits in the corner and collects dust. And by the time you get to that god tier armor, that's all you wear ever. You never take it off. You have no reason to take it off because you're invincible in that armor. Well, ARK is not that way. You do, in fact, have to wear the appropriate armor for the appropriate situation. Why wouldn't I just wear my god tier armor around all the time? Well, I'll tell you why. You see this little snowflake here down in the bottom right hand corner? Ignore this one, that's part of superstructures. This one right here means that I'm cold. And when you're cold, you consume food faster than normal. Now, if that were to turn into an ice cube, I would start losing health. That means I'm freezing to death. Likewise, there is a overheating. For instance, if you stand in a volcano wearing fur armor, you're going to notice this little fireball symbol down here, meaning that I am overheating right now, and I'm going to get heat stroke soon. So one of the nice things about cloth armor is that it provides not only cold protection, but also heat protection. Now, not all armors are this way. Hide armor, for instance, provides a negative heat protection, and it will actually make you hotter when you wear it. Fur armor will do the same thing. Desert cloth armor will provide heat protection and a little bit of cold protection. Ghillie armor provides heat protection, a lot of heat protection. And then it goes up from there. The hazard suit provides the most heat protection, but doesn't provide a whole lot of actual armor. So there's a lot of different armors for different situations. You wouldn't want to just wear around your riot armor all the time. You would probably overheat. Now, one other thing to factor in is what it takes to repair the armor. So let's put our armor on here so we're not cold anymore. You'll notice, oh, I guess we have to damage this first. Hang on. Ah, crap. Ah. Oh, no. Oh, crap. Now, in case we haven't covered this yet, when you die, your dead body will actually have this big beam of green light shooting out of it, so you can find your dead body to loot your own corpse. It's a little weird that my dead body is still standing up, but whatever, we're going to loot him anyway. Oops. All those skins. Take all this stuff. And pro tip here, you can actually chop up your dead body and cook the meat and eat it as soon as this Triceratops moves out of the way so he doesn't kill me again. So I let a Triceratops kill me for a reason. Let's take a look at our armor. Notice that the durability of our primitive cloth hat here has gone from 25 to 21. And if I were to drag this over here, it'll actually tell me right there, repair requirements, fiber. One thing that you have to be careful of in this game is what does it take to repair your armor. When you get a really, really high tier armor, you're not going to be able to just repair that on the go. You're going to have to go back home, whip out your smithy, get a bunch of rare ingredients, and maybe even kill some penguins. Who knows? Penguins provide organic polymer for some of the higher end armor. Anyway, and then there's certain times where you'll be in a cave. There are dinos that will actually destroy your armor just simply by spitting on you. So a good thing to have is armor that you can easily repair. Cloth and hide armor are both very easy to repair because you can get hide from killing almost anything, and you can get fiber pretty much anywhere. Now also, if you don't like your hat, you can actually hide your hat. You hold down the comma key and you go to play emote and go right up here to hide hat. And now you can see my sweet hair. So dinosaurs have a lot of different uses. In the next episode, we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to tame some dinosaurs, and we're going to go get some resources that we can't get here on the beach. If you liked this episode, be sure to hit the like button. It helps me out. Be sure to subscribe so you can see episode number 3. Hit the notification button so you know when episode 3 comes out. And thanks for watching.